Hey there, I'm Katerina. Let me first take you back to the days before I married into the McAllister family. My life was pretty simple, nestled in Rome. My pops ran this cute little grocery store in the city, and my mom was a school teacher. My younger brother was the troublemaker in the family. You know, the typical Italian family where pasta nights were a sacred tradition and the noisy Sunday dinners with the entire family were a must. I had just graduated with a degree in sociology, unsure about my place in the world. It was time to explore and find myself. Then I met Dan. I was a 24-year-old waitress working part-time at a cozy little cafe. Dan, a 25-year-old American sitting in the corner with his table, diligently learning Italian. He was a bit older, but he was exactly my type. Our banter game was strong, and before I knew it, we were dating. While Dan was doing his thing, I was climbing my own ladder. We were in an international long-distance relationship. After a couple of years, I landed a job as a researcher in my field. Life was treating me well, and I was proud of how far I had come. Then, one day, the man of my dreams dropped down on one knee and asked me to be his forever. Of course, I said yes without a moment's hesitation. Dan was not just asking me to be his wife, he was also asking me to leave Italy and move to the States with him. It was a daunting decision. Leaving behind my family, my culture, and the country I had always called home was a big leap. But I knew that true love often requires sacrifices, and it was not like I had never been to the States. My mom belonged to the States. I'm half American. I had only met Dan's parents, Charlotte and David, over video calls before. And guess what? They were nothing like my Italian folks. Dan's dad was a pretty big deal in the medical scene. He had his own fancy clinic and was the boss of pretty much everything in the hospital. I mean, the guy had a serious influence on every doctor at the clinic. Dan also had a sister called Ashley who was married to Sean, one of San Francisco's big shot investors, from what Dan told me. So our wedding, now that was quite the adventure. Italian girl marrying an American guy in the US. My parents and friends came all the way, and it was this amazing cultural fusion. The day was full of joy and celebration, marking the start of my life as Dan's wife. Just 4 months into this whole married life thing, I found out I was pregnant. I was like this roller coaster of emotions. We were thrilled, of course, but also nervous. We had our careers to focus on, and becoming parents was a big, daunting step. But here is where it gets even more interesting. It turned out my pregnancy was not the only one in the family at that time. We hosted a dinner for the whole family to announce the good news. Hey everyone, we've got some big news to share. Yeah, guys. You might want to sit down for this. What's up? Yeah, spill the beans, guys. We are having a baby. Katerina's pregnant. Yep, our family's about to get a little bigger. Wait, seriously, you guys? I'm going to be a grandmother, finally. Hold on, I don't want to steal your spotlight, Katerina, but how about we share it? What do you mean, Ash? I was planning a different little get-together for this announcement, but I guess I'll just have to say it. I'm also pregnant. We're going to have 2 babies in the family. Yeah, we're going to be parents as well. Oh my God, Ashley! Double the fun, huh? Yeah, and double the trouble too, I'm sure. I'm going to be a grandma to 2 babies? This is such a blessing. Mom, we're going to give you a run for your money with our 2 little cuties. Well, I might not be a grandpa yet, but I can promise you this. I will give you the best gynecologist from my hospital. Double the expertise for our moms-to-be. Thank you, David. That is really sweet of you. You guys are making this already incredible moment even more special. Now, we can do a shared baby shower too. This is going to be so much fun. I was over the moon with happiness. Little did I know that this game of play pretend, where Ashley and I were pregnant at the same time, would later take a dark turn. But for now, in those early months of our pregnancies, it was a time of joy. Ashley and I did everything together during our pregnancies. From reading parenting books to sharing our cravings for pickles and ice cream. For both of us, of course, it felt like we were living in a dream. We even threw a joint baby shower, and it was the most fun I have ever had. We laughed, we cried, and we shared stories about our hopes and fears as expecting mothers. David also hooked us up with some fantastic doctors at his clinic. The big day finally arrived, my due date. I started feeling those labor pains and knew it was time to head to the hospital. As soon as we got there, I was swiftly whisked to a hospital bed with Dan right by my side. The nurses were there trying to keep me calm amidst all the pain. David walked into our room with a doctor and a couple of nurses. He looked really tense. "This is the doctor who'll be handling the delivery today, and these are the nurses who'll be working with him." "Wait, this is not my gynecologist?" "Your gynecologist could not make it today. Deal with it, darling." "What the hell, Dad?" "I already had a lot on my plate today. Your sister also gave birth some hours before." "What? Ashley gave birth too? Why didn't you guys tell us?" "There's no time to discuss this now. Your wife is in pain. Your baby can be here any second, Dan. You need to leave the room." "What? Dad, this is my wife and my baby. I'm not going anywhere." "Dan, it is not just about that. The doctors need space to work efficiently, and it's a crucial time." "But I don't want to leave her alone." I was in so much pain that nothing mattered to me anymore. I just wanted the baby to come out of me as soon as possible. "It's okay, babe. I'll be fine." "She won't be alone. The nurses will be here to support her. It's a medical procedure and we must trust their expertise. Let's go." I remember moments of it, just flashes. The excruciating pain, the overwhelming exhaustion, and the distant sound of the baby crying. But it is all a haze, like trying to recall a dream upon waking. After pushing our baby into the world, I was drained. I could barely keep my eyes open, my body longing for rest. The nurses told me it was a boy and then swiftly took the baby away and told me they would be right back. I was too tired to ask or fight. The whole thing was a blur. When I finally opened my eyes, I saw Dan sitting by my side. His eyes welled up with tears. "Dan, why are you crying? Is our baby okay?" "They took him away and never came back." "Yes, Katerina, he's okay." "Then what is it? Why are you upset?" "Well, it's just, I don't know how to say this. Our son has Down syndrome." "Down syndrome?" "They said they're still running some tests on him. I just want you to know that I love him, no matter what. We will face this together as a family." "Of course, Dan. He's our baby and we need to be there for him." "It will have its challenges, but he is our son and he's perfect just the way he is." When I first held our baby boy, Luke, it was like everything else just faded away. His tiny fingers, his little nose, all of it was pure magic, and I could not ask for anything more. Dan and I had a heart-to-heart about our son's diagnosis, and we decided right then and there that we would love and support him no matter what. We were ready for any challenges that might come our way. We also talked about Ashley and her baby boy. Two cousins born close together, but with different paths ahead of them. It was a reminder of how unpredictable life can be, but it also made us even more determined to give our children all the love and support they needed. We got home from the hospital, and the next day, Charlotte decided to pay a visit. "Well, isn't Luke a special little boy?" "Yes, Luke is a very special and sweet child." "Special in more ways than one, I see." "Mom, be nice." "He's so different from other kids, isn't he?" "Yes, he is, and that's what makes him unique, and we love him for that." "Unique, sure, but will he ever be able to lead a normal life? What about school? Can he even go to school like other children?" "Mom, we'll be working with specialists to ensure he gets the education he needs. And by the way, he can go to school just like a regular kid does." "You know, you might want to get used to the idea that he will not be getting into any prestigious universities or achieving big things. Will he be able to work or contribute to society, or will he just be a burden to you?" "He is not a burden to us. Luke will follow his own path and we will support him. But what about his future relationships? Will anyone ever want to be with someone like him? Mom, don't be so insensitive. Can we please talk about something else? How about you give him a chance and play with him sometime? Luke is a very happy kid. Oh, please, he is not my cup of tea. I've better things to do. So everyone came to check out our little baby boy, but you won't believe it. Ashley didn't even bother giving us a ring. I mean, I get it. She has got her hands full with her own newborn and all. Obviously wanted to take care of herself and her baby boy, but she didn't reach out to us or even answer our calls. Considering the bond we shared and the fact that she was now experiencing motherhood too, I had expected her to at least send a congratulatory message or find a moment to call. But then finally, 3 weeks after the birth, she finally called us back. Hi, Katerina. I'm so sorry I've not been in touch. It's been hectic with the baby. I understand, Ashley. I also heard about Luke's condition. I'm sorry about that. It's all good. We love him no matter what. Everything good on your end? How's baby Nick? Yeah, he's good. Hey, Katerina, I just wanted to say that Luke deserves some extra love. Please take good care of him. Of course I will. We should plan a meetup soon and introduce our babies to each other. The first year of being a mom was like a wild roller coaster ride full of highs and lows. Nick and Luke celebrated their first birthdays together, and it was a momentous occasion. Watching them giggle and play together was heartwarming. But my relationship with Ashley and Sean had shifted, and they grew more distant. It was hard to put a finger on what had changed, but our once solid friendship was fading. To make matters worse, Charlotte did not seem to warm up to Luke. It was as if she could not accept him because of his condition. Her indifference stung, but I knew that it was likely a result of ignorance more than anything else. Let me tell you, dealing with Charlotte's insensitivity was like a never-ending frustration. She never gave Luke a chance, always acting like he was some alien kid. There were a few instances that stood out like sore thumbs, making me want to shake some sense into her. One time I overheard Charlotte talking to her friends about how she had only one grandchild. I mean, she was right there, and it was like a dagger to my heart. It felt like she was erasing Luke's existence as if he did not matter in her world. Another time we were at a family gathering and Charlotte made a comment about how Luke was so different from other kids. She did not even try to understand him. Dan was just as upset as I was. The last straw came crashing down before the party Charlotte hosted for David's birthday. The entire family was invited with other work colleagues and friends, and even Ashley and Sean had flown in from San Francisco, and they were staying at Charlotte and David's place. The night before the big party, Dan and I were invited for a family dinner, which was when things went ugly. You could have stayed at home with Luke, Katerina. Sometimes I feel like throwing up just looking at him. Mom, are you serious right now? How can you hate a little child who's done nothing to you? Yeah, it is time to stop this. Luke is a part of our family, and you can't treat him like this. Don't get so dramatic, Katerina. I just don't want him here tomorrow. There will be important people, my friends. I don't want them to know that my grandson is disabled. It will not be a good look for this family. Charlotte, you are his grandmother. You should love him unconditionally instead of wanting to hide him like a shameful secret. Well, I don't like him, Katerina, that's for sure. And now that I'm putting it out on the table, let me tell you, I never liked you, too. Don't be so rude, Charlotte. Can we discuss something else? Oh, please, David. You know I have never liked this woman. Katerina, your son, with his disability, is nothing but a burden, a constant reminder of imperfection. Dan, you should have married someone more suitable, not this foreign woman with her strange family and their unconventional ways. Dan, I've been meaning to say this since the day Luke was born. I want you to take a paternity test because someone like Luke could never be my grandson. I've never trusted her. Maybe she slept with Mom, are you out of your mind? Just let it be, honey. This whole thing is so unnecessary. Yeah, Mom, we trust Katerina. She would never do this to Dan. I think you should stop pointing your finger at her. We love Luke for who he is. End of story. I could not believe Charlotte's accusations. It was painful that she thought I would cheat on Dan. When we got home, I feared that she would never stop doubting me. I needed to prove her wrong, especially after she insulted me like that in front of everyone. So I asked Dan if he would take a paternity test to put an end to her doubts. Surprisingly, Dan agreed, probably to ease the situation. The following day, we decided to skip David's birthday party. I just did not have the energy to face the family, especially Charlotte, with her suspicions still hanging in the air. Dan brought home a DNA test kit and we gathered the samples as requested. We anxiously waited for the results, and those 3 days felt like an eternity. When the results finally arrived, it was the worst news imaginable. They showed that Dan was not Luke's biological father. I was very confused. There was no way that this would be possible. Katerina, I can't believe it. Are my mom's doubts true? Did you really cheat on me? I'm trying hard to believe you, but this time, this is medical proof, you see? This can't be possible, Dan. What if there was a mix-up at the hospital? Come on, Katerina, this is not some movie. I'm pretty sure something must be wrong. How about I take a maternity test? I would seriously want you to do that, considering the position I'm in right now. I'm sorry. Of course. The tension in our house was unbearable those 4 days as we anxiously waited for the results of the maternity test. The accusation had cast a shadow of doubt, but I understood that Dan was struggling with the situation just as much as I was. I could not blame him. Anyone would be stressed in these circumstances. When the day finally arrived and we received the results, it felt like an eternity. The maternity test confirmed what we had feared but could not quite believe. I was not Luke's biological mother. Our world was turned upside down. The baby we thought was ours, the child we had celebrated and cared for as our own, was not biologically connected to us. The revelation left us both with many questions. How had this happened? What was the real story? We could not help but recall all the little details that seemed suspicious during our hospital experience. The way Dan was not allowed to be in the delivery room, the presence of a new doctor, and the fact that Ashley was giving birth on the same day. Get Luke. We are going over to my mom and dad's place. I'm calling my dad and telling him we are going to be there in half an hour. We finally got to their place after a while. What was the hurry, son? Is something wrong? Dan showed them the DNA test results. This can't be possible. Whose baby is that if you're not Luke's parents? Dad, tell me, was this just an innocent mix-up or? I'm going to sue you. What did you do to my baby? Calm down, everyone. We need to talk this through. I will give your sister a call so she can be part of this conversation too. David stepped away and he was on the phone for a while. After chatting for about 5 minutes, he got back. Well, I told Ashley to bring Nick along with her. Dad, I swear to God, I'm going to take your hospital and you down if you don't start talking. I'm sorry, son. Luke is actually Ashley's son. She went into labor early that morning and called me right away. Your mom was at a club meeting and I could not reach her, so I went to the hospital alone. Sean and Ashley were already there. The baby was on its way. After the doctor informed me of Ashley's baby, she called me into her room and begged me to take care of the child. What do you mean by take care of the child? She wanted me to give it away. She told me she did not want the baby and asked me to lie to everyone, claiming she had a miscarriage. We were grappling with the situation already when Katerina entered the scene. I was with Ashley, and then when she heard about Katerina coming into the hospital, she had this other plan. She asked me to promise her that if everything goes well with Katerina's delivery, I would give her your baby. My little girl was in pain. She was begging me to help her. I could not say no to her. So, Nick was our baby all along? You have always spoiled Ashley, but this is unbelievable. David, this is beyond unacceptable. The fact that you switched our baby with Ashley's baby is just disgusting. How could you betray our trust like this? You had a duty to be truthful from the start. We have been living a lie thinking that Luke was our son. Do you have any idea how heart-wrenching this is for us? Ashley walked into the door with Nick in her arms. Her eyes were red from all the crying. Ashley, you're here. Is this true? You and your father have been lying to me as well. I lied to you, Mom. I lied to everyone. I mean, Luke was born with Down syndrome and I was overwhelmed. Sean and I did not think we could handle it. We made a terrible decision and we dragged Dad into it. I just could not keep the baby. I'm sorry, Katerina. I did not mean to steal your son, but I was way too desperate. I wanted to be a mom, for God's sake. You came in at the perfect time. I got tempted. You asked David to switch the babies? How could you do such a thing? You played with our emotions and tore our lives apart. This is not just some petty secret. You had the responsibility of being a mother. What you did is not just a mistake. No one deserves a mother like you, Ashley. Oh, Ashley, if only I had known that Luke was your son. How could you do this to us? David, why did you let her go this far? Well, Charlotte, I can't believe I'm saying this, but thanks to you, thanks to your doubts and your accusations, we finally uncovered the truth. Luke is indeed your grandson after all. None of us wanted this mess, but now we have to deal with it and find a way to heal and move forward. It was an incredibly challenging time in Dan's and my life. We got Nick back, of course, but we had become so attached to Luke. And letting him go was heart-wrenching. Dan and I were determined to do whatever it took to bring Nick back into our lives. We worked closely with Child Services and followed every legal avenue available to us. Child Services took away Luke from Ashley and Sean. Ashley and Sean faced 1 year in prison. We legally fostered Luke, bringing him back into our home with open arms. David faced the consequences of his actions. Not only was he in prison for 2 years, but he also faced the loss of his medical license. After the heartache caused by the events within our family, we decided to cut ties with Dan's family. It was not a challenging decision at all, as their actions had been incredibly toxic, from Ashley to David to Charlotte. The toxicity had taken a toll on us. We're also planning to move to Italy next year. We decided we wanted to raise our kids with their maternal grandparents around. While I will not say I'm over the moon about how things unfolded, I do believe in karma, and it seems like it caught up with everyone in its own way. Right now, we're just focusing on giving our kids a loving and caring home, filled with all the good stuff.